Hello and welcome to another edition of the Aussie Ideas Man. I've got a nice quiet day ahead of me. In fact, it's a quiet afternoon. The morning has already gone. But I just thought I'd make another video since there is some exciting news. APTERA has now found a battery supplier. Now, the exciting news is so big that I've got about 4 sources to watch to see what's going on with this new battery supplier. And I thought, well, I just can't keep picking on one person, so I'll pick on 3 or 4 at once. That means that I've just got to select just the worst bit of nonsense from each due to lack of time. I don't want you watching a 1-hour video.
I came across this link on the APTERA Owners Club Discord and some very interesting news. This was actually just announced today, and it's announcing the Tier 1 supplier for the battery packs and the production lines for the battery packs. These are coming from South Korea. This company will install the battery production lines and supply the battery packs to APTERA Motors as a Tier 1 supplier. And it seems like the size of the contract is they'll also be investing some $1 million. Not really sure what that means. The contract is around $15 million.
So APTERA sent another $15 million overseas, and we need to see how quickly Carlsbad gets $15 million worth of batteries in. I'd be happy to see how quickly Carlsbad gets $200,000 worth of batteries in for that $15 million. Enough to build 16 PI editions and maybe a couple for sale.
So it looks like they picked APTERA found a good company for the battery packs, which is really exciting.
They haven't found Samsung or Energizer, or they haven't found a name brand at all. They found another startup and something very questionable. I just wish people will watch how much money goes out to this company, how much they can prove they've got, and how much the difference is.
This is translated, so it's not really picking APTERA up right, but APTERA signed a contract to produce EV battery packs in ultra volume production at 120 billion won. So 120 billion won is about 92 million.
So they've signed a contract for a total of $92 million when they can't raise $50 million. That's amazing.
Like this contract is they completed within 24 years, so it's a long-term contract, which is very interesting. So the first 25 years of mass production.
Alright, hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to this video where we'll talk about something that just happened a few hours ago, and I basically could not wait to talk about it. This is basically a news update, so a news update over one story, so let's go ahead and jump right in. First things first, a Mr. Junmo Kim has basically said that he has come to, him and his company has come to an agreement with APTERA for their battery packs. It is unclear as to whether or not those are the main battery packs or like a sub battery or the 12 volt. But I'm pretty certain that it seems like it's going to be the main battery. Give me a moment.
The funny thing that strikes me is that he says this is one story, and then he goes, first things first. The guy hasn't got a clue.
I'll explain to you why I thought there was a little bit of a confusion there. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. First we're going to start off by looking into CTNS. First thing we're going to do, see, that's what I'm talking about, I'm excited. First thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and read the announcement from LinkedIn that Mr. Junmo Kim put up, and then we'll kind of go from there. The post says thus: thrilled to announce that APTERA Motors and CTNS signed the Master Supply Agreement and Investment Agreement at CTNS headquarters on the 22nd of December, 2023. Provincial Council Dr. Jian Ki-pong and members of IRA visited the site to celebrate the future of both companies. The purpose of the agreement is to formalize business relationships between two entities and build a sound foundation for their future cooperations. Upon these agreements, CTNS will install the battery production lines and supply the battery packs to APTERA Motors as a Tier 1 supplier and invest some $1 million in APTERA Motors. I believe that means they're investing $1 million, but just give me a second here. The total size of the contract is more than $15 million.
Okay, so twice we hear that this company is investing $1 million in APTERA for being a supplier. This is crazy. No supplier has to invest in the company they supply. It's just a trade agreement. This also says that the sum is $15 million in the order and has no mention of the $92 million for the total contract. So the $15 million is what must go out of the country straight away.
Dr. Jian commented on at his welcoming speech that as a leading startup representing, oh Lord help me, I apologize in advance, Gyeongsang Namdo, CTNS has done remarkable jobs and contributed to the regional prosperity. We are happy to support CTNS's global business with APTERA Motors and a good package programs, including here we go again, Gyeongnam Technopark will be provided. Ki Jung Kwon, CEO of CTNS, remarked, "I believe that this is an important moment for CTNS to leapfrog into the future unicorn in global market, and sincerely appreciated to Chris Anthony and APTERA Motors to become our partner for the journey."
Now that sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, but there's one important word in there, unicorn. I don't know what it's doing in there, but it's very pertinent because APTERA is a unicorn. It's a mythical object.
Another sidebar, because the battery company is a Korean battery company instead of a Chinese battery company, the U.S. Is basically a free trade country with South Korea, and yeah, that would basically mean that so long as the language of the EV tax credit bill changes to allow three-wheeled vehicles, APTERA could in fact receive that tax credit, assuming that they are keeping this deal alive and that they can get the lobbying effort together to make this change. APTERA will be a very, very competitively priced vehicle. I think this may have been the plan all along.
That's a lot of assuming.
And I think that it is amazing that they are pushing for battery partners that meet the criteria for the free trade agreement. If that is the case, and if they have done so with the expectation that the language of the bill for the tax credits is going to change, that would mean that they might have been lobbying for this for far longer than what we heard them talk about them lobbying for, and that their lobbying efforts are bearing fruit. So I hope that is the case.
He's raving on. Korea is just another overseas company, and overseas companies are the easiest places to lose money. And that is, they will be able to have more and larger brown paper bags if and when they fold. This is a good thing for APTERA because they, deep down, I believe, have absolutely no intention of doing anything else other than fold. This is getting another $15 million offshore.
But we will not know that for certain until the language of the tax credits stipulations changes. So, yeah, man, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I saw that that post really super early this morning, and I wanted to make sure that I got a video out about it as soon as possible. So you will notice that this was a very rushed video.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? It's a great day to be alive. Hey, listen, of course, we're going to talk about some more APTERA stuff, so let's get into this baby right now. All right, welcome back, everybody, to my channel. Glad to have you here. Hey, we're going to talk about why it would be good for APTERA to name their first vehicle, even though they decided not to put a name on it. And I just want to bring this out because I know that a lot of people, when they're looking back on vehicles, you know, you got the VW Beetle, the Mini Cooper, the Pontiac Trans Am, the Model T. When you call these names out, people that know vehicles,
3 of those 4 were the same vehicles that Sandy Munro mentioned when they had the real first reveal of the Gamma. Or was it the second official first reveal of the Gamma? I can't remember. That's so long ago. But in any case, this lame brain, out of literally dozens and dozens of iconic cars, has to use 3 that Sandy Munro has mentioned because he can't think for himself.
they know exactly what you're talking about. Also, the Z28 Camaro, the 302 Boss Mustang. You got the Lamborghini Diablo. So, I mean, there's so many different vehicles that you can look back on just by calling their name. A lot of people will instantly know exactly what you're talking about. So the question is, would it be good for APTERA to name their vehicle? I think it would.
The problem with APTERA is they don't have a vehicle, and I've driven this home so many times. They have a couple of fake prototypes, but they still have no vehicle. All these other examples, the ones from Sandy Munro and a few extra that he dragged up, they are real vehicles. They have stood the test of time, and they are known by their names because they existed in large numbers. You can't make a comparison with something that doesn't exist at all. Prototypes don't count.
Be good. But I do want your feedback on this. Give me your thoughts on this.
He can't have my feedback. He's blocked me. He's just like the cretin from AOC and many others who always ask for feedback but have many people blocked because they don't like the interruptions to their income stream.
APTERA, we know they're going to come out with more than just one vehicle. Take care. Go APTERA!
Hello, everyone. It's Steve with APTERA Owners Club. Next year, California is starting something called the California e-bike incentive, where they are going to incentivize low-income Californians to get e-bikes to help them with transportation. I personally think this is a great idea. As you guys know, I'm a bike commuter for many years, and I think that bike commuting and doing your errands and shopping and running your life without a car for the most part is probably one of the better things you can do for your health and for society and your community. So
This is very interesting. On the very day that the battery partnership has been announced, we get the Ninjaneer with the news and APTERA Owners Club, who are supposed to be the first on the ball, just putting out a video about e-bikes. No mention of the partnership with that Korean battery maker at all.
I think this is a great idea. But because of this, I wanted to talk about the one thing that everyone worries about whenever I tell them that I bike commute. When a lot of my friends think I'm crazy because they drive giant, 8,000-pound SUVs to feel safe on the road, and they think that riding a 20-pound bicycle on the road is just asking to be killed. And the fear is always that of safety. They feel like bicycles are going to get you killed and that it's not safe. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because I think a big part of being safer for everyone is reducing the average size of the vehicles on the road is going to make things safer for everyone. I want to try to avoid, kind of reverse the arms race to bigger and bigger vehicles, and also having right-sized transportation is going to be helpful to reduce energy usage and pollution. You don't need an 8,000-pound vehicle to go pick up a jar of get some carry out from your local restaurant. It just, you're moving 8,000 pounds to move like 10 pounds of food. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about safety. It's very clear that if you get into an accident between a car and a bicycle, the bicycle is 100% going to lose. So you're not in a good situation there. However, being a bicycle commuter gets you exercise and fresh air and psychological benefits. So there's many, many health benefits to being on a bicycle, and that reduces your risk of all the other health problems, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer, those kinds of things. So does the increased risk of traffic accidents on a bicycle, is that offset by the decreased risks of other things? And
No, it doesn't. He's already admitted that a big SUV is most likely to kill you if you both collide. So what good is it if you're in perfect health when it does it? Dead is dead. Common sense is common sense.
think as people, we are not rational, and we think of safety in a non-rational way. Like, for example, when I go swimming in the ocean, I am really scared of being attacked by a shark. And that's what I'm thinking about. But if you look at the statistics on shark attacks, there's like 5 to 6 shark attack deaths per year worldwide. That's very, very unlikely that I'm going to get killed by a shark. But there is like 4,000 drownings a year in the United States. So I'm much more likely to drown when I'm swimming in the ocean than to be attacked by a shark. But am I scared of drowning? Not really. Am I scared of being attacked by a shark? Yeah, I am. And I think it's because that's more dramatic. And also, we had this illusion that we have control over whether or not we drown, but you feel like you have no control of whether or not a shark attacks me. So we don't fear the things that's most likely, and we have this illusion that we have control over certain things. Okay, so if you look at what kills people in America, number one is heart disease. It's like 650,000 people. Number two is cancer, 600,000 people. Unintentional injuries, 170,000 people. This includes car accidents and bike accidents and all those things. If you look at car accidents, I think it's like 40,000 car accidents a year that kill people. So 40,000 people die from car accidents a year. And about 600 to 900 people die per year on bicycle accidents. And then it just goes down the list from there. And so people feel.
So if you have way more people on bicycles going to work in congested traffic, those deaths are going to go up astronomically. Now, every time there's a big SUV and a bicycle collide, it'll never be the one in the SUV who dies. It'll always be the one on the bicycle. So what's his point?
Feel like when they're in a car, they have some measure of control of whether or not they get into a car accident. Now, we all understand deep down that that's not true. If someone crosses the median and hits you, you're not going to stop that. If someone rear ends you, you're not going to stop that. But you feel like you have some measure of control, and people feel like they don't have much control over their safety when they're on a bicycle because if some inattentive driver veers off the lane and hits you, really as a bicycle, you're not going to be able to get out of their way. That's true. Okay, so are there actually some scientific studies that talk about safety? Yeah, so there's a couple. I'm going to talk about two of them. One is this article from the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives in 2010, and this looks at do the health benefits, so this is talking about the exact same thing, do the health benefits outweigh the risks, the increased risks of riding a bike? And so this is a study done in the Netherlands. Okay, so that's the biggest first caveat. Obviously, Netherlands has really good bike infrastructure, so biking in the Netherlands is going to be way safer than biking in the United States. Okay, so let's understand that. And so this is in terms of Netherlands. But what they did is they looked at something called all-cause mortality. All-cause mortality means you count everything they died from, be it cancer, heart disease, stroke, bike accidents, car accidents, whatever. And if you look at cyclists versus car drivers, what would be the effect? And so what they found out is after they did all the analysis, if they had people that converted from car commuting to bike commuting, what they would do is they would have the estimated beneficial inference of increased physical activity are substantially larger. So you would gain, on average, 3 to 14 months of life by bike commuting because of the increased health benefits. You would lose 5 to 9 days of life because of the increased risk of being in a bicycle versus a car and the accidents. So if you look at that, and so they also said that you would lose 40 days of life because of increased air pollution doses. Now I'll show you some new information that shows that may not be accurate, because that is talking about air pollution by time out there. So if a bicyclist and the car person is spending the equal amount of time out in traffic, then the bicyclist will inhale more pollutants because they're just kind of out in there. But in many congested cities, the bicyclist spends much less time in traffic because they get there faster. And so they actually inhale less air pollution. So anyway, let's just say the air pollution is a wash. You're going to gain between 3 to 14 months of life because of health benefits, and you lose 5 to 9 days of life because of possible accidents. So if you look at that, the 5 to 9 days is totally inconsequential compared to 3 to 14 days. If you subtract the 5 to 9 days out of this, you're still plus.
He's baffled you with science again, and it's just rubbish. This guy has no sense whatsoever, and he manipulates figures it would take me a long time to straighten him out. But I've done it a few times already, and he's pulling the same trick again. He's manipulating the figures to justify the barrow he pushes. It's that simple. I don't know why people listen to him.
By bike commuting. This is another one, association between active commuting and incident cardiovascular disease, cancer, and mortality prospective cohort study. So they looked at basically 270,000 people. This is in the UK. Their biking infrastructure is not that much better than the US biking infrastructure. So that is pretty much similar to the United States. If you think about, do you want to have a longer, healthier life? Statistically, you're way more likely to have that with bicycle commuting than car commuting. Although psychologically and emotionally, it doesn't feel like that. It's just like the shark and the drowning. The shark just feels a lot more dangerous, and you're just more scared of that. But if you think about it rationally, that is not the case. Okay, I want to kind of wrap this up with this great article by Mr. Money Mustache. I don't know if you know about this guy. This guy is a finance guru, but he's actually an engineer by trade. I think he retired early at like in his late 30s because he was frugal enough to save enough money. But basically, he says, under the most pessimistic of assumptions, the net effect of driving a car at 65 miles per hour for 1 hour is that you die 20 minutes sooner. So you lose 18 seconds of life per mile traveled. The net effect of riding a bike at 12 miles per hour for 1 hour, you live 2 hours and 36 minutes longer. So about 13 minutes of life gained per mile. Okay, so he says, so he's an engineer. In engineering math, one method we use to prove a case is to define the boundary condition. So if you can prove that your design holds up in the worst possible case, it is guaranteed that it will work in all situations. So he's saying that is the worst possible case. So he looks at it here. First of all, in 2010, there were 623 cycling deaths in the year 2010. If you look at this, that is true, 623 deaths. Now, the deaths have increased over time, and in 2021, there were 966 deaths. However, the number of cyclists have increased over time, so the number of miles traveled have increased over time. So I think it's basically a wash. So if you look at the same perspective, there were 26,000 deaths due to falls and alcohol, and 35,000 deaths caused by car crashes. But people are way more scared of the 625 cycling deaths than they are of the 35,000 car accident deaths. And people are like, well, that's just because there's a lot more drivers. That's absolutely true, and that's what he says. But of course, we are a nation of, he calls them car clowns. So we cover a lot more miles in cars than bikes. But cyclists put in about 9 billion miles back in 2010. And now it's well over 13 billion miles. So dividing this, he's saying that it's a fatality rate of about 7 per 100 million miles traveled. And according to the National Highway Safety Association, the statistic is 1 death per 100 million miles traveled in cars. So on the surface, bicycling is about 6 times more dangerous than cars. Now in the Netherlands, which we talked about has great infrastructure, it is about the same. They have a rate of about 1 per 100 million because their biking infrastructure is just safer. They have separated bike lanes. There's a lot more cyclists. And what we know is the better infrastructure you have for bikes, the safer it is for cars. And also the more bikes there are, the more cars are aware of cyclists and more they look out for them and hit them less. So it's kind of the chicken and egg. When you don't have cyclists, cars don't see them and they don't build the infrastructure, which makes it more dangerous, which makes less people want to do cycling. However, you need to get more cyclists in order to get the infrastructure built so that more people see the cars to make them safer, and when they're safer, more people want to do the cycling. So I'm of the opinion that I'm going to be one of the people that's going to ride my bike, even though the infrastructure isn't great. And I'm hoping more people join me, and if enough people join me, then they're going to build the infrastructure, and car drivers will see bicyclists more often and try to hit them less. All right, so we're not done yet. So first of all, let's compare cyclists at comfortable commuting pace of 12 miles per hour and a car driver on the interstate at 75. The risk per hour is equal because you're covering covering 6 times more miles. And so the accident risk per hour is about the same. And many people will complain this is ridiculous because the comparison is by time and not by miles traveled. But what he's saying is that the car encourages people to travel more miles. The cyclist is just going to naturally cover less miles. So the driver is likely to end up, the fatality rates are going to be the same because car drivers just cover more miles. I don't know that I totally agree with that, but let's go with that for now. It's not a huge point. It's not a huge point. So he also, this is obviously, his page is a finance page, and he talks about how bicycling saves you so much money on insurance, car upkeep, fuel. These are the things that attract us to APTERA as well. APTERA is going to be very, very financially efficient in terms of low fuel use, less maintenance, that kind of stuff. And he says that in his mind, a bicycle is a money printing fountain of youth. And then he says that every hour of exercise, it extends your lifespan. That's absolutely true. Exercise is so important for your health, and very few people get enough exercise. That is like almost no American gets enough exercise. We don't get even the bare minimum, the vast majority of it. But, and I was like that too until I started bike commuting. Basically, when I was done with work, I just didn't want to go to the gym and exercise. I was tired. I just would rather go home and watch TV and relax, have dinner, and just relax after work. But with I think that if you want to do something, you just kind of have to try to make it as non-optional as possible. And commuting by bike basically forces me to get 40 to 50 minutes of exercise every day. Like it's not an option. Like I have to get home, and the only way I'm getting home is to ride this bike, and that's what's going to happen. So it does force people to exercise. And then he's saying not only the years you live will be greater number, they'll be higher quality years, and that's absolutely true. You don't want to just live longer. You want to live healthy longer. You want to be active, and you want to be able to take care of yourself. You don't want to be having people help you, get off the toilet basically, and you want to be able to do things that you enjoy doing. All right, so he also talks about how it makes you healthier, so you'd be less sick, so you wouldn't miss work. Okay, we'll take all of that off the table. And then he says, here's the other things that he talks about. That's the worst case scenario, his little edge, his boundary case. But he says, let's look at this. With the current group of cyclists, this 600 cycling deaths a year, it includes a lot of kids, unfortunately, and then people that are homeless, DUI convicts who have lost their license. These guys are often riding their bikes drunk. And then there's competitive road racers and downhill mountain bikers, which includes all those. And those guys are just trying to go fast. And you get accidents by going fast. But the people that are commuting to work and using their bike to pick up food and do their errands, they're not trying to get there as fast as possible. And they are not children; they are adults, and we understand traffic rules, and we understand how the flow of traffic works, and you understand how to pick routes that are safer. And so that they're like. My personal rate is going to be way better than the 6.9 per 100 million miles because I'm not trying to go super fast or go pick dangerous routes or anything like that. And then he talks about all this is about getting to the whole planet issue. Sure, biking solves most of our biggest problems: energy consumption, carbon output, climate change, urban sprawl, obesity, heart disease, depression, all this, even wussy pants mentality. That's hilarious. I love that. But isn't it amazing that the case is so strong, even if you don't give the slightest about what's happening to the earth? And so, biking versus driving. Driving is 20 minutes of lifespan erased for every hour of driving and $35 per hour of money burned. Riding a bike at 12 miles per hour for 1 hour is 4.5 hours of lifespan gained and $100 of monetary gain secured. So on a per mile basis, this is what you're doing. So basically, go read this article. It's great. But the bottom line is we are emotional creatures. Things that emotionally feel dangerous to us are not usually the things that are truly dangerous to us. Just going back to our shark example. And the things that are dangerous to us are things that we don't think about. And that's like heart disease, cancer, that kind of stuff. That's really what's going to hurt you. And riding a bike basically reduces your risk of the things that's really likely to kill you and slightly increases your risk of the thing that's very unlikely to kill you, which is an accident in a bicycle. All right, so the reason that we talk about this is because e-bikes are like bicycles. You still get exercise on an e-bike. You still pedal. You still get like the psychological benefits of fresh air, sunlight. You just kind of feel refreshed and ready to get to work, and you're wide awake by the time you get to work when on your bike. I mean, I feel like it's the single best thing I've done for my quality of life in the past decade or so. And e-bikes let you go farther. So I have an e-bike. And when I go to work is about 10 miles round trip, so I do 20 miles. And that's like a doable distance for me. But if it's like 30 miles, like 15 miles, that's a little bit farther than I really want to go on a bike. But on an e-bike, that's totally.
Work is 10 miles round trip, so he does 20 miles. What does he do? Work 2 days a week?
Totally a doable thing. And I think it extends the range that I'm comfortable going on a bike. And e-bikes are faster than regular bikes. And when you're faster, less cars pass you. And each car that passes you is a chance for the car to hit you. So the less cars that pass you, the safer you are, essentially. So I think e-bikes are generally safer than regular bikes because of that reason. So in the next couple of weeks, I will be reviewing.
Hang on a sec. Didn't he say if you rode a bike, you got there quicker than a car? I'm sure he said that earlier. So why is he now saying that if you're on an e-bike, less cars pass you? You can't get quicker than a car if cars are already passing you. You're passing them.
A couple of e-bikes. If you're not interested in them, please just skip those videos. We will do the normal APTERA content. I think there's a little bit of a lull because of the holidays and APTERA news, but we will definitely, that is the focus of this channel. But I do want to talk about bicycling and kind of rights.
There was a lull in APTERA news. You just missed out on the signing of a partner to build batteries. You're not on the ball, man.
Size transportation. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Hope everyone had a great holidays. Have a great day.
You see this up next in one? Well, I actually woke up 2/3 of the way through that 18-minute video. I had been asleep for most of the Cretins video. It just knocked me out. In any case, when I saw what it was, I went back to the start and watched the whole video. It was enjoyable. Anyway, that's all from me. Little snippets from what amounted to a whole lot of nonsense. It will take you a while to watch all 4 videos, but by all means do it. But think about what you're watching. Sort out the nonsense from anything that's factual. You people just need to learn. It gets a bit tiring just telling you time and time again. That's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.
What will win in a drag race between a Tesla Model 3 and a BYD Seal?